Hi, this is Greg Jeffers for the American Quaker Friends Church. I want to tell you about the terrible and cowardly historical event that introduced the idea of freedom of speech to the American body politic. Before this event, there was no such thing, no concept, that people should be able to speak freely about their political and religious belief systems and values. The American story of free speech belongs to the Boston Martyrs. The Great Migration of English settlers from 1630 to 1640 was fueled in large part by people seeking religious freedom for themselves, but not for others. These migrants were unified in faith and living far from home in less than ideal conditions, and over time created a Puritan theocracy little different from the theocracies of the Middle East and North Africa. The Puritans fled religious persecution only to become tyrants and oppressors themselves. In October of 1659, three Quakers, William Robinson, Marmaduke Stevenson, and Mary Dyer, were to be hanged in Boston for apostasy. On the 27th, the three were led to an elm tree for a painful death by strangulation. The people of Boston were appalled at the prospect of murdering citizens for speech, and rightly so, and the governor had to call in the troops to maintain order. Before his death, Robinson's last words were about his faith, to which a Puritan minister told him to shut up, you're about to die with a lie in your mouth, before kicking him off of the ladder. The two men were summarily hanged, but the hanging of a woman was unheard of, and Mary Dyer received a last-minute reprieve. Mary Dyer fled first to Rhode Island and then back to England. But she returned to Boston and challenged the authorities, saying they would have to change the laws or hang a woman. Mary Dyer lost that gamble. In June of 1660, less than a year after the judicial murders of Robinson and Stevenson, Dyer was hanged in Boston. A fourth Quaker, William Ledra, was hanged in Boston the following year, also for apostasy and for sympathizing with Robinson and Stevenson. The hanging of the Boston Martyrs, and especially of Mary Dyer, created an outrage that swept the American colonies and spread to England, and forced the king's hand. The king issued a proclamation that ceased all legal actions and persecutions of the Quakers, but the genie was out of the bottle. In 1675, John Fenwick became the governor of West Jersey, and in the first document of its kind, the Fundamental Articles for the Government of the Colony, Fenwick declared that the residents of West Jersey would enjoy the freedom of speech and the practice of religion. Fenwick's best friend, William Penn, the founder of Pennsylvania, inspired by that three-page document, promulgated the Frames of Pennsylvania, the first representative democracy complete with individual rights since ancient Athens. Thomas Jefferson said that William Penn was the greatest lawgiver the world has produced. The Quaker colony of Rhode Island ratified a state constitution that would later inspire James Madison in his construction of the United States Constitution and our Bill of Rights. Contrary to the leftist narrative, America is not a puritanical society. America is a Quaker society. This is the brutal history of our fundamental and inalienable right to freedom of speech and religion. The Puritans canceled their political opposition by strangling them to death. Today's left cancels their political opposition via internet censorship. Now, that might seem a little gentler, but it has the same effect on politics and policy. And I think they'd prefer to strangle the opposition, and they may yet get that opportunity unless we organize. We can't overcome the shrieking lunatics and the censors of big tech and the mainstream media on the internet. We must use the internet to organize or risk finding ourselves at the end of a rope. The values of my American colonial ancestors must endure. If you want to help or need help with organizing, please reach out to me at American Quakers at proton.me. Not .com. American Quakers at proton.me. I will send you our essay, An American Philosophy. Please, know your history. Know who your people are, what they've done, and how remarkable and outstanding they were. After all, they passed life and liberty on to us. Thank you. I'm Greg Jeffers for the American Quaker Friends Church.